As Johnson takes over from Theresa May, lawmakers on Capitol Hill are also hoping for a recharge in U.S.-U.K. relations. And just wait until the two men get together. Nile Gardiner joins us, director of the Thatcher Center for Freedom at the Heritage Foundation. So, Nile, what do you expect from Boris Johnson?
Well, I expect great things, actually. It's been a tremendous start, I think, for Boris Johnson this week here in London. He has had a tremendous beginning as the new British Prime Minister, replacing Theresa May, whose tenure was extremely disappointing, it has to be said. Boris Johnson is a visionary, big-picture Prime Minister. He has pledged to deliver Brexit on October the 31st, and he has also promised to restore the strength and power of the Anglo-American special relationship, which was weakened under Theresa May. And I expect that Boris Johnson is going to have a very good relationship with Donald Trump. They spoke on the phone last night, according to Downing Street, a very positive discussion. And I think that Britain has an extremely bright future in the Brexit era as a sovereign, truly independent nation. And Brexit will be great for Britain. It'll be great for the United States as well. Tremendous opportunities on both sides of the Atlantic.
Why is that?
Well, firstly, I think that we're going to see, certainly once Brexit is implemented, a large-scale U.S.-U.K. free trade agreement between the world's largest and fifth largest economies. As President Trump says, Britain will be at the front of the line for a trade deal. Famously, of course, Barack Obama warned that Britain would be at the back of the queue for a trade agreement if the British people dared vote for Brexit. Well, the British people did vote for Brexit, and now Britain is at the front of the queue for a free trade deal. And you have a US president in place who is a very strong Brexit supporter, who believes that Brexit will be great for the US economy as well. It's going to help create jobs on both sides of the Atlantic. It's going to significantly increase trade and investment between the US and the UK. But also, Brexit will be a great force for free trade, for free enterprise, for innovation across the world. And I think that Britain will be a far stronger and more powerful force on the world stage in the Brexit era, freed from the shackles of the European Union. After all, the EU is a sinking Titanic, as an economic basket case in many respects. And a truly free sovereign Britain, I think, will be a magnificent force for freedom across the world. And I think the United States will be standing shoulder to shoulder with the British people in the Brexit era. And that's a tremendous thing.
And tell me a bit about Boris Johnson himself. When he was London mayor, he was critical of then candidate Trump. But there have been comparisons between the two. The president himself said that he's the British Trump, and he's quite a fascinating character. I mean, he's eccentric. When it comes to English, that's especially eccentric. Born in New York City on the Upper East Side, lived in Washington, lived in Connecticut. Quite a character.
He certainly is. And as you mentioned, Boris Johnson was born in the United States. He was until very recently actually a US citizen. He's very pro-American. He's a big believer in the special relationship. Also, Boris Johnson is a huge admirer of Margaret Thatcher and Winston Churchill. He models himself in many respects on Churchill, and he wrote a best-selling book on Winston Churchill. He's also, in many ways, an unconventional politician. He is somebody who has broken the political mold many times. He was mayor of London twice, in a city that traditionally votes for the left-wing Labour Party. He is a staunch conservative who believes in the idea of British greatness. And I think that Boris Johnson and Donald Trump, I think, will strike a very strong, effective relationship on the world stage. They're going to stand up together to the European Union. They are both a breath of fresh air, I think, on the international stage at this time. They are challenging conventional wisdom on both sides of the Atlantic, and they are both great believers in the principles of liberty and freedom, of free enterprise, sovereignty, self-determination. So a lot in common between Boris Johnson and President Trump. And I expect you're going to see the British lion roaring on the world stage with Johnson as Prime Minister, and an even greater Britain with Brexit, which is all about, at the end of the day, the ideals of sovereignty, freedom and liberty, the same principles that the American people hold so dear in their own hearts.
Well said. Nile Gardiner, thank you. May I point out Winston Churchill and Boris Johnson, both journalists before they entered the political arena.
That is correct.
Nile Gardiner from London, across the pond. I'll see you when you get home. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Eric.